Alrighty, so it's a couple days after Thanksgiving, and I'm visiting my parents' house, and so I have access to the main Diecast collection, and this is a video I've wanted to make for a long time. So this is the very first pickup I got as a kid, the very first pickup truck, and as fate would have it, it's a square body Chevy. It's a late 70s square body Chevy. It's cool for a multitude of reasons. First of all, it's yellow, my favorite color. It was made in Hong Kong. The fact that it hasn't fallen apart, despite fairly cheap build, is pretty impressive because I took care of my toys as a kid. I was very protective of my Diecast collection. And one of the things that's cool about this thing, not just that it's a 70s Chevy square body, but my cousin, who knew or thought he knew way more about American vehicles because he was older, he was already watching Knight Rider on satellite TV back in Slovakia in the early 80s and mid 80s. So I remember him telling me that these kind of vehicles in America are called a Toyota because, of course, Toyota always had the embossed bed with Toyota on the back. And of course, he couldn't be further. That wasn't correct at all. You know, that Toyota was one brand of tiny little pickup truck. This giant, oh jeez, ooh, test drop. This thing obviously would be much bigger than any Toyota pickup truck ever made, up until the early 80s when I got this as a kid, or mid 80s or so. Anyway, that's the first one I ever got. I years later put the odometer, I put the sticker on there. I had odometer gauges. Well, I had one odometer gauge in my 68 Camaro, and so for that reason it was sort of, I put that in there for that reason. And of course, in subsequent years, when I've seen similar pickups from similar casting, this is also a very generic casting. This one happens to be made in China, obviously. Surprisingly, I used to put these little weather stripping squares on there. I cut them up into little squares and put them on the bottom of the cars so they wouldn't roll off the shelf back in the day when I had it set up so that sometimes the car in my vehicle would roll off the shelf. But anyway, so that's just a random generic step-side Chevy square body that I got later on. I don't know how much later. That one has a metal base, so it's kind of cool. Completely different casting. Just the only corollary is generic square body, 1/64, approximately 1/64 scale. And then, of course, just to balance things out and show this one, this is probably one of the coolest square bodies that Hot Wheels made back in the day. Now everybody's crazy about the Silverados, the 83 Silverado. But a lot of people forget that this casting was around for a long time. And the fact that this one has the white interior and the Hot Wheels logo blazoned on it with the number 1. It's pretty awesome. This truck has not been abused at all. Came out of the package as you see it not long ago. I want to say this one's about 15 years old. Maybe more. I don't know. In any case, I love it. It's yet another awesome square body. Fairly recent casting. Malaysia. I'm not sure why Arun. I don't know. I don't know the story behind that. But it's pretty awesome otherwise. I would imagine this casting will be worth a little bit of money down the line. Not that I care. I collect because I love collecting. I love Diecast cars. I don't do this for the money. When you see me open stuff and people comment about how it's worth less money, it's never been about the money for me. This has been a lifelong passion. As a kid, my parents took me to the Carver Toy and Train Museum down in Carver, Massachusetts. And I fell in love with the concept of one person's toy collection being turned into a small museum. And my father jokingly said, "You could do that someday." And here we are, more than 3 decades later. That's still kind of in the back of my mind. It would be awesome to show the collection to the world someday in a small museum or whatnot. Nowhere near there in terms of being able to take care of the logistics of that, but it's kind of a cool idea. Alrighty. Enjoy your Saturday, everyone.